Hi guys, so today I want to share with you guys how I usually do my illustrations and share some tips and tricks. Today I'm drawing Princess Bubblegum from Adventure Time wearing a hypebeast kind of outfit. So first I will start on a layer with a yellow pencil and sketch out the structure or the pose of the character. I will usually reference the pose somewhere like Pinterest. And then I will turn the opacity of that layer down and add a layer over it and use a blue pencil to sketch in more detail. I use the second sketch layer to remind myself where the detail goes, but it doesn't have to be really detailed because I'm going to reference a photo anyway, or I will have an idea in my head of what to draw. I use a thicker line to sketch than a line brush because then I don't have to be as precise while lining it. I will sometimes also add a cross or a basic mapping of the expression in the yellow layer, but since this expression is really simple, I don't have to do that. So the next part is lining. I don't always use the same brushes, but this time I chose to use the Kyle's Dry Media Dark Sketch. I like it because it's not too clean like the hard round brush. It has some texture, but it also is very opaque so that when you fill in the colors, you don't see any gaps. So with the lining process, I will usually turn up the brushes, smoothing setting up to 30 so that I can still have an adequate control over the brush, but the lines are smoother. And in this process, I will also reference to the reference photos more because this is where the details come in. So now I'm just going over all the blue lines and lining the illustration. I also like to add some black shading where the shadows would be because I feel like it makes the illustration looks more complete and less flat. I might also add some dots where I think there should be some texture so that it doesn't look super flat. And in a minute I will fill in the ear with black, and I don't know why I did that, but I will fix it later. So in the picture I referenced, the person wearing the sweatpants had some kind of medieval font on their pants, and I was trying to look for the font in the default font settings, but I can't find anything. So I later decided to just draw them myself. So I searched in Pinterest of medieval fonts and used a lettering brush to draw it myself. So I should have did this on a new layer, but I didn't, so I selected it and pasted it on a new layer, and then I pasted it 1,000 times because it repeats on the pants 1,000 times, and then merged all the layers together so that I could erase the parts that were outside the sweatpants in one go. I'm not used to lettering this kind of font, so when I first did it, I thought it looked really ugly, but if I sized it down and did it in a pattern like this, it actually looks fine. So when I'm erasing this, I turned the opacity down so I could see the lines of the sweatpants, but I was lazy, so I didn't do that for the left leg. So then I went back to adding some more details in the lines, like shadings and adding these words. For the brands of the clothing, I usually like to add my own name, Melody, but because this time it's Adventure Time themed, so I guess I'll write Adventure Time instead of my name. So right here I discovered that I filled in the left ear with black, so I drew over it. I erased it and drew the ear again, but it actually looks too big, but it's fine. Big ears have now become a part of my style anyway. So the next step is coloring the illustration. If you're not a lazy person, you can do this layer by layer, but I am a lazy person, so I duplicated the lining layer. Then I will use the fill bucket tool to color in in the lower lining layer. Then I will move the whole Photoshop window to my Mac window because the Wacom tablet doesn't show color accurately, so I will choose the colors up there and make some adjustments if I need to, and then I will color it with the paint bucket tool. But in some cases I also need to use brushes to color. For example, the PB things, they have many holes in them, so it would be a hassle to select the areas one by one, so I would just use a hard brush to color it in. Usually if I'm drawing an original character, this would take much longer because I will spend much more time choosing the colors and comparing the colors, but since this is an existing character, I don't have to spend too much time thinking about the colors. So after I done the colors, I will zoom out to see if the placement of the character is okay, and in this case I moved her down a little bit. So after that I would do shading. I usually use orange, blue or purple to shade. I will create a new layer. In this case I will create a clipping mask layer over the colored layer and set the layer to multiply and opacity around 50, and then I will draw in the shadings. And since I created a clipping mask, it will only color the places that were already colored in underneath the clipping mask layer. I actually really need to improve on learning where to shade because I'm still very bad at it. But anyway, when I start to shade, I will realize that some parts are not colored during the color process, either because the color was too light or I was too lazy. And then I will go back to the layer. I realized this hack to navigate to the layer you're seeing by clicking it. You hold down Command and then click the color and you will go to that layer. So I used to have a lot of trouble finding the layers because the thumbnails are so small, but since I discovered that hack, it's so much easier. So after all that, I will add a background color and then add some texture on top of all the layers so that it looks like paper, which is an effect I like very much, and then the whole piece is done. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. If you like this video, give me a like, and if you want to see more of my videos, click subscribe. If you want to support me and what I do, you can head over to my Patreon and become a patron for some exclusive content. You can also enter this code for 30% off all my products on my shop. Thanks for watching, see you next time.